Chris! I grew up on El Chavo. I started not liking El Chapulín, started watching El Chapulín because it was the same guy, liked El Chapulín, and made an effort to watch the unpopular CNT channel knowing the voices wouldn't be the same to try to get used to these characters so I could have more of Roberto Gomes Bolaño's genius. E se você não lembrava do programa X-Pirito, não tem de queijo, só de carne. But if there's something that Brazilians would like to get as a Christmas gift, is a package of El Chavo episodes that we haven't seen, with the original voices as much as possible, everyone knowing there were over 100 episodes of El Chavo that weren't translated, Los Super Genios de la Mesa Quadrada, and X-Pirito. What I'm saying is I'm kind of a fan. So when someone said SBT, the Brazilian television system, decided to do an El Chavo special for Christmas, I wanted to watch it. And I almost did. Almost. And I think I would have lasted less than the 15 minutes in my first attempt here. Wait, pretty little audience that I love. I don't intend to exclude people who aren't fans. This is still a comedy and analysis show. If you didn't watch it, you will still be able to follow the comparisons. But, for a quick introduction of the concept, El Chavo del Ocho, meaning the Brat from 8, is an extremely successful Mexican sitcom for all ages, based on a 1971 sketch from X-Pirito. I'm not going to expand on Roberto Gomes Bolaño's just for time, but it's enough to know that his nickname means Little Shakespeare. The series combines slapstick comedy with language-based jokes.
Olha aqui, Chaves. Se por lado eu estou magro,
por outro lado também.
Balancing characters who are far from being perfect people, with moments considering how their way of acting is unrealistic and incorrect. The feeling is that we're watching the funny parts of life without condoning or condemning. By the way, that joke about Acapulco in the last review? It's because of how much alike that kid dresses to this character. I spent some time trying to find an article about the visual inspiration of El Chavo. If anyone knows one, tell me, because this is really impressively similar to me. Old pants with suspenders, hat with stripes. Back to the short itself, it's clearly something apart from the original and shouldn't be judged as the original. It's an homage and must be seen more like a play on the neighborhood festival. By the way, who are those people? The opening is a great idea. We missed this program and watching the Brazilian opening being recreated works. Not being the same music is a subtle way to characterize what I've said before. You feel it's done with care and attention. I didn't even notice Celso Portiolli's wig makes him look like the Star Wars Christmas special alien. So it's a good start. Good production, good tone, even if I miss those Atari sounds on the hat. Let's see how long they can keep this going.
Querido Papai Noel.
Já, toma cuidado pra não deixar essa caixa de enfeites cair, tá bom?
The first joke. This is the first joke from Hóspedes do Seu Barriga Parte 3, or Mr. Beliardi's Guess Part 3, if you translate with the cartoon names, in which El Chavo trips on Chilindrina, combined with a more frequent joke, which I remember being done by the very same characters in the very same way, in which Chilindrina says someone is tripping on some garbage.
Eu avisei que se você não tomasse cuidado ia acabar tropeçando em qualquer coisa.
This is a fatal script error. The joke is comparing Kiko with something negative. Something isn't negative, it's neutral. Thing is used to replace practically everything. You'd have to stop and think, hey, thing is more used for inanimate objects than people. It's also used for people, but the canned laughter, whose can is puffed out so bad it is, tells me that there has to be a joke here. This means, despite Chilindrina not really offending Kiko, I must think she would be thinking negatively of him and pretend a person thinking poorly of another is a joke, even though the entire history of humanity and the very Christmas special being directly referenced here fights against the notion it's normal for a person to think poorly of another, which means this homage doesn't have any idea of why what's being homaged was good. Qualquer literally has undefined as part of its description, and it's the only word in Portuguese whose plural doesn't end in an S. I know, I work with this, there must be some people saying I'm exaggerating, so just look at this.
Eu estava aqui escrevendo uma cartinha pro Papai Noel.
E você já escreveu uma, Kiko? Kiko, o Papai Noel não é um Papai Noel qualquer para você ser tratado como Papai Noel. Ele é apenas o Papai Noel.
Yeah, they stop El Chavo, who's starting a joke that's going to continue for a while in the special, by the way. So Chilindrina can say the Santa is not just any Santa to be treated like the Santa, he's just the Santa. If you understood, please explain. I'll consider it my Christmas gift. She's using determiners to say the, unique and special, is not any, common and ordinary, to be treated as the, unique and special, because he is just, insignificant, not special. She starts saying he is unique to end saying he isn't. And, mind you, that isn't the joke! The original joke is Bolaños using language in a confusing way, but comprehensible to those who actually pay attention. It's the, or are you saying or denying that when I tell lies I speak truths? Or the, for what cause, motive, reason, or circumstance? El Chavo seems to be contradicting himself, but he's suggesting the criticism against him would be contradictory. And Girafault is just being overly specific for most conversations, but if you ignore the classifications, you can answer naturally. It's not the actor's fault. The three are playing their parts here well. The writing is bad and the direction is bad, with the impersonator Alexandre Porpetoni playing El Chavo well and being forced to try to fall like Bolaños did. If the actor doesn't know how to fall, don't have him fall. Not everybody is a stooge. And if you don't know what I mean by bad direction, look at this.
Você ficou aí de propósito pra mim tropicar em você. Pra eu tropicar.
Quem tropicou em mim foi o Chaves.
This is Zé Américo, founder of a comedy group called Café com Bobagem, and, believe me, Parliamentary Secretary of Federal Representative Tiririca. Okay, I know he might have chosen somebody from outside politics exactly so he could trust him. But how would I not comment on a radio comedian who is playing Kiko and works for the circus artist who got famous because of Florentina? As I said, doing his job. And maybe this was on the script, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was an idea he brought on. Again and again, after saying something, he puffs his cheeks and makes that mouth. Kinda imitating the original Kiko, but clearly aware he isn't Carlos Villagrán. It's as if he's saying, now imagine this was said 30 years ago when it would make more sense. This is what's missing from most of the special. It's the
O verso é repetido 44 vezes.
of the special, and the camera changes before you can appreciate the joke. Keeping on a horrible script's odyssey, for surviving Charybdis of poor uses, our reward is its Scylla.
E qual é o problema de eu ficar com os dois pés e as duas mãos no chão?
É que vai demorar muito até nascer grama aqui pra você poder pastar.
Sim, piadas totalmente fora do tom original. Aqui e ali, piadas que são comuns hoje são jogadas sem nenhuma consideração pelo tom. Ah, Fernando, não pode ser tão ruim assim.
É hoje.
Hã?
É hoje.
Eles estão sugerindo que o seu Madruga... Não o seu Madroga, o seu Madruga. Vai ser estuprado pela Dona Clotilde? Yeah, remember the whole discussion on other videos about what was accidental and unfortunate racism and what was damaging and clearly intentional? Same thing here. The original series predicates a lot of its humor on the idea of physical damage. And that's part of the time and the series' style to me, which was more cartoony before becoming a cartoon. You're not meant to think that's great that Mr. Raymond is all purple. You're supposed to laugh because he doesn't even care and everything resets before the next episode. Here, the jokes literally are, he's gonna suffer. The episode asks you to grab a trident and start poking the asses of those in pain. That's called sadism. The rest are jokes recycled from the original, sometimes poorly done for lack of direction. I feel bad for Porpetoni. By the way, what did you think they ate in Italy on Christmas? Because he is actually quite funny when he starts dodging like a boxer, and even the fall is better than the other one. But the scene itself has no effect before that. The two seem to be afraid of hitting him, and it ends with another bad reference.
Mas isso é Chaves ou UFC?
Boxing! Boxing! One of the characters is literally a boxer, and you want me to believe that the brat's mind would travel to the future to think of UFC. How about... Or... There are some islands of moments not ruined by forcing fan service or unnecessary modernization.
Sim, é o amor!
But for another example of this,
E aqui está o Chaves!
Foi sem querer querendo.
Foi sem querer querendo.
that moment in which Mr. Raymond swallows dry and shows himself better than usual becomes a joke about cell phones, with characters from 1979.
Professor Silvio Santos!
Just because it's this network?
Hoje a cobra vai fumar.
You understand, this is like hearing your parents talk about sex, right?
Seu chapéu caiu, professor Girafales!
It's not the end, friend, if you're a friend.
Even the transitions are forced, going from Miss Pinster went into her house to Miss Pinster is not outside anymore. Comercial. Nós estamos só na metade. O que poderia ser pior?
Se você morrer, a Rua Augusta vai ficar de luto, Chaves.
Ah, vamos modernizar o seriado que nem fala de sexo, insinuando que o garoto de 8 anos é parte de uma comunidade de trabalhadores do sexo.
Eu só sei que estou vendo a calcinha da Chiquinha.
And pretending he is one of those perverted characters from anime.
Look at this! While they read Mr. Belliarge's letter, they literally cut to the people coming out of their houses. Because if they didn't, the audience would think they came out of magic?
Quem tá aí? Outro gato!
And, gasp, we finally have conflict. Mr. Belliard wants to tear down their slum and build something new and acts like a complete imbecile in his letter.
Não devo satisfação do que vou fazer, porque quem tem café no bolo sou eu.
Maybe this has something to do with being interpreted by the guy who literally kicked an assistant on the head during his show. Have I said how these people don't know what humor is? Now, the host of the local news in Rio for SBT saying that the peaceful protests in 2013 were horrible. Now that's funny. Let them eat cake! Yes, that actually happened. And here, finally, I can give this special a compliment. Subtly, with no warning, a second Kiko shows up. Dun dun dun! I really laughed at this, for the simple insanity of the occurrence. I thought finally the special was going to do something interesting. Girafalt says he's one's father but not the others. So in my mind, this would become Casos de Família, which is a Brazilian Jerry Springer, but with themes that are very late for anyone with internet. I even thought they would use magic from the witch from 71's, who's being played by the host of that show, to solve the case with a DNA spell. Finally, something interesting! They immediately drop it. Everyone blames Mr. Raymond, and I think this too happened on the show, but they leave this storyline. Mrs. Worthmore fights with Girafalt, El Chavo meditates and they make a reference to Ghostbusters, and to the episodes in which they think the witch transforms someone in an object, they make fat jokes with Miss Worthmore. I know, it could look like misogyny, but I think it's just utter incompetence. And instead of using these issues that's become an entire episode in the original series, they just suggest it's going to be important, but abandoned it or force its use. It's as if they wanted to make references, but use it 7 more times than they should, and try to patch the holes with modern jokes. It's worth noticing we are in the post-contemporaneous era. It's post-contemporaneous era. I know it's a forced joke. This special wouldn't. The special shows the writer doesn't know what a house is.
Ah, já sei onde vai ser a ceia de todo mundo aqui.
Aonde?
Na minha casa.
Or at least doesn't know that El Chavo's house isn't the barrel. Oh, I am so surprised the author didn't go through the effort of researching the topic. And what the hell is this? Is it so people can stand and get stuff on the table easier? It's not even as if they couldn't put a lid on the barrel and set the turkey on it to make this joke that would still not make any sense. This isn't guarding the bed, meaning staying in bed, which couldn't be translated well from Spanish. By the way, and I know I'm decades late, how about the doctor just saying bed is important? Then the kid is putting away the bed because he didn't understand bed as rest. I know it's silly, but it's a silly show. And this is the problem. The special doesn't get the tone of the original, and if it had its own tone, it wouldn't be a problem. But it doesn't. It's just another case of, I'm saying it's funny. Laugh! Laugh! They even stop everything and dance out of nowhere, as if they were for some reason ponies. I made this reference just so bronies would watch the channel. It was totally worth it. Unfortunately, this is the feeling I get watching this special. Why would you do something like this if you're not making the effort to make sense? The ending is them toasting with ham sandwiches. It's a good ending. It's an image I could see in an episode from the original series, maybe in a more 80s version of it. I literally feel sorry for this ending because it deserves to be in a better episode, together with some of the actors here. How the hell can't I find anything on Felipe Levoto when he might be the only one here that gives the feeling and acting close to the original? El Chavo has been part of the Latin imaginary for years, and inspired as much as Tom and Jerry. Why not doing something real? Why not trying to understand instead of imitating?